From the time you are a little girl, everyone teaches you to be sweet, nice, and polite. You are told to make people comfortable, avoid arguments, and keep a smile on your face even when you are upset. This continuous training turns you into a pleasing golden retriever who automatically says yes to everything because you are terrified of making a scene. When a man starts acting strange or telling stories that do not add up, your first instinct is to stay quiet and act normal. You swallow your anger and hide your doubts just to keep the peace. This habit of being too nice strips away your natural defenses and teaches a man that he can treat you poorly without facing any real pushback. This deep social pressure makes you give a dishonest man the benefit of the doubt over your own gut feeling. When you catch him in a lie or notice a massive gap in his story, you immediately start making excuses for him. You tell yourself that confronting him will make you look crazy, insecure, or hard to love. By choosing to protect his feelings instead of demanding the truth, you give him a green light to keep deceiving you. This constant compliance turns you into an easy target because he knows you prefer a comfortable delusion over a harsh reality. You are acting from a place of deep fear, assuming that if you speak up and demand honesty, he will leave you alone. The dating world has no mercy for the nice girl who gives endless chances to someone who disrespects her. You stay up late staring at your phone, trying to make sense of his sketchy behavior while you keep doing favors for him. This complete availability ruins your confidence and turns you into a convenient placeholder who requires zero effort to keep around. A man can tell when you are terrified of losing him, and his respect for you drops because he knows you will not walk away. Your unearned kindness does not make him appreciate you. It just lowers the cost of his bad behavior to zero. He realizes he can look you in the eye and deceive you without losing your affection. You have been taught that standing your ground and demanding the truth is mean or aggressive. Because of this, you accept obvious deceptions and settle for half-truths just to keep the relationship glued together. This constant suppression of your thoughts leaves you emotionally exhausted, anxious, and completely drained. You waste your mental energy trying to fix a man who uses your good nature to hide his bad character. Being an overly understanding woman never builds a secure relationship. It just makes you tolerate behavior that you should have walked away from on day one. You are shrinking yourself to make room for a man who does not care about your peace of mind. True respect is never born from your endless patience, your constant sacrifices, or your willingness to overlook a lack of integrity. Respect happens when you have firm boundaries and the immediate strength to leave the moment a man crosses them. When you forgive a major lie just to avoid a breakup, you are explicitly teaching him that your words have no weight. Stop pretending that your sweet attitude will magically inspire a dishonest individual to suddenly start telling the truth. A man responds to a woman who respects herself too much to be played, not to a woman who begs for honesty through her submission. Once you tolerate a lie, you signal that you are willing to accept a compromised life. The accommodating woman behaves like an employee who works overtime for free while her boss completely ignores her hard work. You invest your time, your health, and your focus into building a man up, hoping your loyalty will make him commit to you. This survival mechanism leaves you feeling hollow and disconnected from your own goals and your loved ones. You look at your life and realize that your intense focus on keeping him happy has caused you to abandon your own needs. This is a slow, self-inflicted trap that happens when you value being polite over being honest with yourself. You are choosing to stay in a relationship that requires you to abandon your self-respect. Reclaiming your power means you must completely drop the obligation to be an understanding savior for a man who cannot tell the truth. You must become completely comfortable with causing immediate discomfort the exact second you encounter a breach of integrity. A high-standard woman does not throw massive tantrums, scream, or write long paragraphs trying to explain her worth to a liar. You state your standard once with absolute clarity, refuse to accept weak excuses, and walk away without a second thought. If a man cannot handle your directness, or gets angry at your boundaries, his reaction is the only proof you need to cut off his access permanently. Stop telling yourself that ignoring red flags is a sign of a mature, healthy, and stable connection. Your constant flexibility is just a way to avoid the temporary pain of enforcing a consequence and ending a bad dynamic. By choosing to swallow your pride and look the other way, you give up your power and let his deception run your daily life. It is time to look at the hard data of his actions instead of relying on the cheap promises of his words. Your current level of tolerance is the exact reason why you wake up with a heavy sense of anxiety every day. You are participating in your own heartbreak by accepting less than you deserve. When you step into the real power of the black cat, you change the dynamic and force the world to meet your standards. You no longer enter the dating scene like an anxious candidate hoping to be chosen by an unpredictable man. You move through life with a calm, unbothered posture that shows your attention is a privilege that can be taken away instantly. If a connection starts to drain your energy or bring deceit into your space, you do not try to fix it or beg him to change. You simply recognize that his character does not meet your standards and close the door on him without looking back. If you are finding this perspective shift interesting and are ready to stop accepting deception in your relationships, subscribe to the channel right now. Make sure you do not miss the strategic breakdowns we are building here to help you get back your sovereign energy and your peace of mind. We are about to dive into the realistic story of a woman who learned to stop accepting excuses and watched her world reorganize around her worth. The shift from being an overly nice girl to a secure woman requires a complete upgrade of your boundaries. Subscribe now, turn on your notifications, and let us take total command of your life and your unbothered destiny together.
The day that Madison left a liar.
Madison felt a sudden shift in her environment when a casual afternoon at home exposed the first fracture in her 6-month relationship with Ethan. She was organizing some design files on her desk while Ethan was in the kitchen, and a misplaced letter from a local collection agency caught her eye. The official document stated that Ethan had been terminated from his corporate job months ago due to severe misconduct and was currently facing massive personal debts. This completely contradicted the stories he told her every single day about his stable career, his executive meetings, and his future financial plans. Madison did not start screaming, throw a loud tantrum, or break any items in the room. She stood perfectly still, letting her environment remain completely quiet as she looked at the hard evidence of his deception. When Ethan walked back into the living room, Madison showed him the official document and asked for clarity with a very calm and direct tone. Ethan immediately froze. His shoulders became stiff, and his eyes darted around the room as he tried to build a quick excuse. He swallowed his pride and offered a desperate apology, claiming he only lied because he was insecure and wanted to look successful in her eyes. Madison felt a wave of physical heat in her chest, but she refused to let her immediate emotional discomfort run her actions or dictate her response. She wanted to be fair, so she decided to give him the benefit of the doubt this single time, communicating her high standards clearly before moving forward. 2 months later, the boundary broke completely when Madison discovered that Ethan was still hiding the truth about his financial status and past habits. She caught him in another direct lie during a simple conversation about his daily schedule, noticing the familiar nervous tension in his voice. Madison did not cry, ask for a long explanation, or waste her energy on endless circular arguments because she knew that people never do things just once. She looked at him with absolute clarity and realized that a man who lies to your face to hide a character flaw does not deserve you. The disappointment was real, but she did not allow the temporary sting of betrayal to stop her from enforcing an immediate consequence. Ethan tried to use his usual emotional manipulation, begging for another chance, and promising that he would change his ways if she just showed more patience. Madison did not spend her time trying to teach a grown man how to have basic integrity and human decency. She knew that if you give a liar the benefit of the doubt, he will only use that extra space to build a more sophisticated deception next time. Her standard was completely non-negotiable, and she felt a deep inner peace as she took total control of her personal perimeter. She refused to waste her valuable youth being there for a partner who did not value the truth. Madison walked over to the front door, opened it wide, and told Ethan to leave her apartment immediately. Her voice was quiet, steady, and entirely free of the dramatic anger that a less secure woman would display during a sudden breakup. Ethan walked out into the hallway, realizing too late that his leverage had dropped to 0 and that he could no longer control her reality. Madison locked the deadbolt, took a slow breath, and felt the immediate return of her sovereign emotional space and clean energy. She did not feel ruined or lonely because she knew her world was already complete and stable without his presence. The very next morning, Madison was back on her favorite hiking trails, enjoying the fresh air and the physical challenge. She spent her weekend laughing over dinner with her 3 close friends, completely refusing to check her phone for his notifications or text him for closure. Her creative output at her fashion styling job remained incredibly high because she kept her focus entirely on her own professional advancement. She spent her time playing with Buster, keeping up with her personal fitness goals, and enjoying the serene comfort of her independent life. She navigated the natural grief of the ended connection, but her baseline happiness remained entirely intact because she was whole on her own. Madison proved that when a man shows you his real character through deceit, a high-value woman must believe it and leave. She chose her independent peace over a toxic loop of continuous forgiveness and cheap promises that would only drain her vibrant spirit over time. By walking away from Ethan without a second thought, she protected her future and kept her internal standards perfectly intact. She is the direct example of a woman who values her truth much more than the comfortable illusion of a dishonest connection. Madison remains happy, active, and completely unbothered, moving through her world with the calm serenity of someone who answers only to herself.
Never give him the benefit of the doubt.
The silence you choose after a lie is the fastest way to drop a man's perceived power to 0. When you catch him in a deception, you do not owe him a breakdown, a long text message, or a second chance to practice his excuses on you. Your immediate withdrawal of attention forces him to face the reality of his choices alone. A high-value woman understands that her presence is a premium privilege that can be lost in a single second. You do not negotiate with someone who thought he could alter facts to protect his own comfort. Turning your back and cutting off access is not a game. It is the absolute end of his leverage. A single lie is never an isolated mistake, but a clear sign that a man values his convenience more than your peace of mind. If you expose one lie today, you can be sure there are multiple hidden ones that you will never find. Forgiving dishonesty does not show maturity. It only drops your standards and gives him a free map to trick you better next time. The moment a man decides to look you in the eyes and hide the truth, his position in your world is gone. You must believe the hard data immediately, instead of wasting your days betting on his future behavior. When you catch a man in a lie, you should never give him the benefit of the doubt under any circumstances. Providing that extra space does not inspire accountability. It only signals that your rules can be bent without facing a real penalty. A man does not view your willingness to wait for explanations as a sign of devotion, but as a sign that you are terrified of a breakup. The second you accept a weak justification for a deliberate deception, you lower the cost of his bad behavior to 0. You must drop the inclination to protect his comfort and prioritize your own mental peace by enforcing an immediate consequence. A sovereign woman operates like a solitary panther moving through the dark, completely silent and perfectly precise before making a final move. She does not make unnecessary noise, throw predictable tantrums, or warn a man who chose to be dishonest. When she encounters dishonesty, she simply gathers her energy, turns around with total posture, and disappears from the situation without a single backward glance. This quiet, elegant retreat leaves the man completely disoriented, gasping for her focus because he can no longer control her reality. There is immense power in being entirely unbothered by the sudden end of an untruthful connection. You must become completely comfortable with making a bold move the very second a man decides to cross a line. A high-standard woman never shrinks her personality or hides her rules to keep an untruthful partner from walking away. If your firm boundaries cause the connection to fall apart, let it break without a single moment of hesitation or regret. You are not a rehabilitation center for grown men who lack the basic character traits necessary to maintain a commitment. Your self-respect must always remain non-negotiable. The natural drive to pursue and protect a woman vanishes when a man realizes she will accept lies just to stay connected. He stops viewing you as a rare prize to be earned and starts treating you like an easy option that requires 0 active effort. Your continuous availability and your willingness to understand his excuses turn you into a submissive partner who finances her own disrespect. True attraction cannot survive in an environment where a woman values the illusion of a partner over the reality of her own dignity. You must be entirely willing to let the connection end if the price of keeping it is your truth. Think about the exhaustion of constantly checking your phone, wondering if his latest story is another lie that you have to search for evidence to confirm. That constant anxiety is the exact proof that you have allowed an untruthful partner to disrupt your life. You are an independent woman of immense value who brings real vitality, focus, and stability to the world every single day. Yet, you behave as if you are lucky to receive scraps of his attention while he plays games with your emotional safety. It is time to stop analyzing his hidden motives and look directly at the actual results of his actions. Reclaiming your sovereign position means you stop entering the dating arena like an anxious candidate who needs validation to feel stable. You move through your daily life with a calm posture, knowing that your happiness is safe because it is anchored in your own autonomy. You have your own family, your friends, your fitness goals, and your career advancement to fund your joy without his presence. If a man introduces deceit into your space, you do not try to fix his flaws or beg him to change. You simply close the door, remove his access, and let him face the quiet of your total absence. The real transformation begins the exact moment you decide to stop listening to excuses and start prioritizing your long-term safety. You stop providing the attention and the care he never earned, leaving him to experience the immediate results of his dishonest actions. Your total distance always arrives long before his actual self-awareness, and that is why your absence becomes an unforgettable reality. He was using your attention to boost his confidence, and without your gaze, his sense of control completely disappears. There is no need for drama when a single decision can restore your independent power. The path of the black cat requires an unbreakable internal code that treats any form of deceit as an immediate deal breaker. You do not offer second chances to an individual who treats your loyalty like a cheap trial option that he can exploit. You state your standard once with absolute clarity, let the environment adjust to your terms, and completely exit the relationship if he fails. True magnetic power comes from being completely whole, knowing that your life is a masterpiece with or without his presence in the room. Once you master the art of immediate energy withdrawal, you start embodying the sovereign queen that you are. When you are dealing with a man who uses lies to manage your reality, you cannot afford to waste your time guessing his motives or waiting for him to change. The Black Cat Playbook gives you the exact tactical responses to handle deceit and reclaim your complete autonomy. This guide cuts through the confusion, helping you identify when a man is burning your energy and showing you how to close the door without a second thought. Stop betting on empty promises and get the precise framework to protect yourself right now through the link in the description down below.
The psychological cost of lies.
Accepting deception in a relationship creates a dangerous mental conflict that slowly destroys your self-respect and warps your view of reality. When you tolerate a man's lies, your brain constantly struggles to balance his smooth words with his suspicious actions. This internal battle triggers a permanent state of hypervigilance, flooding your body with emotional stress and deep self-doubt. You stop trusting your own intuition and start relying on his fake version of the truth, just to maintain a fragile sense of security. Over time, this survival mechanism alters your mind, transforming a confident woman into an anxious partner who begs for basic transparency. By ignoring your instincts, you actively fund your own mental breakdown and let an untruthful partner control your sanity. From a psychological standpoint, a man who uses lies is trying to establish total control over your emotional space and lower your standards. Deception is a calculated tool designed to keep you compliant, confused, and fully available to satisfy his personal needs. He looks at a soft, overly forgiving nature and assumes he can alter the facts of reality without facing any real risk of losing you. In his mind, your willingness to understand his bad behavior is a clear sign of weakness that he can exploit whenever it suits his schedule. He wants to enjoy the full benefits of your presence while reserving the right to hide his character flaws behind a wall of cheap excuses. When you fail to enforce a consequence, you validate his belief that he holds all the leverage. The dynamic changes completely the very second you drop the desperate need for his approval and adopt the unbothered posture of a black cat. A secure woman moves through her space with the quiet, calculated precision of a feline observing her environment from a position of total safety. She does not scream, demand transparency, or try to force a dishonest partner to tell the truth to her face. Her silent, elegant observation allows her to gather objective data without letting immediate emotional pain dictate her final choices. When she spots a single inconsistency, she does not argue. She simply prepares to close the door with complete calm. This cold, sovereign stance immediately disrupts his mind because he realizes his words have lost all power. When a man encounters a woman who values her absolute truth above the survival of the relationship, his illusion of control completely shatters. He suddenly realizes that he is dealing with a sovereign individual who will open the exit door the exact second her boundaries are crossed. This sudden lack of control triggers a deep sense of panic in his mind because his usual manipulation tactics no longer work on her reality. He sees that her internal peace is fully anchored in her own life goals, meaning she does not need his presence to stay whole. The realization that he can be permanently left without a single ounce of drama drops his masculine ego to absolute zero. Psychological data proves that human behavior repeats itself, and a person who uses lies to escape accountability will always choose to deceive you again. When you enforce a strict standard of truth, you stop burning your mental energy on a partner who lacks the baseline maturity to be transparent. Your internal peace returns because you choose to no longer participate in a toxic loop of continuous forgiveness and empty future promises. Over time, your mind strengthens, and you become completely comfortable with the reality of his absence from your world. You begin to understand that removing a deceitful partner from your life is actually a massive promotion for your future. The long-term result of staying with a partner who hides the truth is the total devaluation of your own identity and peace. You slowly turn into a hyper-vigilant manager who checks facts, monitors schedules, and tries to earn basic respect through endless submission and favors. This constant compliance drains you and forces you to lower your standards just to protect the relationship. A high-value woman understands that unearned leniency never inspires a liar to suddenly become a dedicated and honest partner. It only teaches him that your boundaries are flexible lines he can cross whenever he wants to conceal a dirty mistake. When you step into total emotional independence, you stop evaluating a man based on his words and look exclusively at the hard data of his actions. You no longer offer second chances for serious breaches of trust like hidden debts, micro-cheating, or calculations designed to manipulate your choices. You understand that communication must be assertive, meaning you state your terms with absolute clarity once, and only once, and never waste time explaining your value. If a man repeats the offense after a clear conversation, you gather your energy and walk out without a backward glance. This decisive posture protects your mental health and ensures your environment remains clean, stable, and completely peaceful. A secure woman is entirely capable of being warm, sweet, and loving, but she reserves that vulnerability exclusively for a partner who truly respects her. She does not throw her precious energy at an unverified individual who uses her loyalty as a cheap, uncompensated safety net. If a man acts right and makes her life easier, she matches his effort with intensity and genuine connection. But if he introduces deception and lies, her warm presence instantly vanishes, leaving him to face the heavy quiet of her total detachment. She knows how to be cold and precise when her truth is threatened, never letting empathy cloud her vision. A dishonest partner wants you to believe that your high standards are difficult, dramatic, or unrealistic so that you will drop your guard. He uses your social conditioning against you, trying to make you feel guilty for demanding absolute transparency in a relationship. Do not buy into the cheap architecture of his excuses, or let his defensive anger weaken your resolve. Your requirement for honesty is a non-negotiable floor, not a ceiling that can be negotiated down during a pointless argument. When you stand firm and walk away, you are simply filtering out a person who is going to drain your life anyway. Ultimately, your mental transformation depends on your willingness to let a connection end rather than live with a compromised truth. You do not depend on a specific romantic outcome to feel successful, happy, and entirely complete in your daily life. You keep your focus on your personal goals and the stable relationships that actually support your growth. By closing the door on a liar, you show the world that your attention is a rare privilege that cannot be bought with cheap illusions. You return to your sovereign state, moving forward with the quiet certainty of a woman who owns her destiny completely.
How a high-value man handles truth.
Evaluating a man requires you to look past his charm and observe how he manages accountability when transparency is required. In any connection, a partner will show his true nature as either a facilitator or a drainer based on his relationship with the truth. A facilitator is a secure partner who values stability, respects your intellect, and works to make your life easier by offering complete honesty. He does not hide his choices or look for clever justifications, because he understands that integrity is the foundation of a lasting bond. When a man operates from this position, he takes responsibility for his actions without being forced. A drainer operates from a position of deep insecurity and relies on deception to manage your perception of the relationship. He uses half-truths, intentional omissions, and excuses to control the narrative while trying to keep his absolute freedom uncompromised. For a drainer, a woman's soft nature is an asset to be exploited rather than a gift to be protected and cherished. He wants the prestige and comfort of your presence, but refuses to pay the basic price of total honesty. This type of partner will slowly chip away at your internal peace, leaving you to deal with constant anxiety. The core difference lies in how these two types of men react when you step into the unbreakable posture of a black cat. A facilitator is drawn to your high standards and feels a sense of relief when he sees that you respect yourself. He knows he does not have to play mind games or figure out hidden motives because you communicate your expectations with absolute clarity. A drainer feels an immediate sense of panic when he encounters a woman who refuses to give him the benefit of the doubt. Your calm independence threatens his ability to twist reality and forces his bad behavior into the light. When a facilitator sees that you are entirely unbothered by the idea of walking away from dishonesty, his respect for you deepens. He realizes that his place in your life is a privilege that must be continuously earned through real actions, not smooth words. This understanding does not make him defensive. Instead, it motivates him to protect your connection by remaining completely transparent. He sees your thriving life, your family bonds, and your dedication to your career focus as proof that you are complete on your own. A facilitator will actively adjust his behavior to match your high standards because he values your presence. A drainer reacts to your silent withdrawal and firm boundaries with anger, blame-shifting, and intense defensive manipulation. When you stop accepting his weak excuses and refuse to engage in circular arguments, he realizes his usual tactics are completely useless. He will try to make you feel guilty for demanding honesty, claiming your standard is too difficult or unrealistic for a regular relationship. This defensive reaction happens because he can no longer control your emotional stability or use your patience to cover his tracks. Your calm posture strips him of his leverage and exposes his lack of maturity. Liars will always try to test your perimeter to see if your boundaries are flexible or rigid lines. A facilitator passes this test naturally because he has nothing to hide and values your peace of mind above his own ego. He makes your life easier by providing consistent clarity, ensuring that you never have to search for evidence to confirm his stories. When you communicate your standards assertively, he listens once and modifies his choices out of genuine respect for your dignity. Dealing with a facilitator allows you to maintain your inner serenity while expanding your goals. Deceptive behavior from a drainer becomes a continuous pattern of hidden narratives and damage control whenever he gets caught. If you stay with this type of partner, you spend your valuable energy functioning as a hyper-vigilant manager instead of enjoying your life. He will continue to offer cheap promises of future change while repeating the exact same patterns of deceit behind your back. The consequence of keeping a drainer in your space is the steady destruction of your confidence and your vitality. He drains your focus away from your professional advancement and leaves you holding an empty illusion. When you show a facilitator that you will completely exit the relationship over a lie, he respects your boundaries. He understands that your loyalty is a premium privilege that cannot be bought with cheap manipulation or unverified statements. This clarity creates a clean environment where mutual respect can actually grow without the weight of hidden agendas. A facilitator wants to be a positive force in your life, and he will facilitate your happiness by matching your integrity with his own. Your independent strength does not push him away. It anchors his dedication to the bond. When you completely exit the relationship and leave a drainer to face the heavy quiet of your absence, his true nature is exposed. He does not look inward to fix his character flaws. He simply looks for an easier option who will tolerate his deception. Your total distance shows him that his power over your mind was completely destroyed the moment he chose to lie to you. He realizes too late that your attention was a rare gift that he threw away for temporary convenience and comfort. Walking away from a drainer is not a loss. It is a direct promotion for your entire life. Distinguishing between these two paths requires you to ignore a man's long explanations and focus exclusively on the hard data. A high-standard woman never finances the comfort of a deceptive partner by sacrificing her own mental peace and self-respect. You state your terms once with absolute clarity. Observe how the man handles your boundaries, and let his actions decide his future access. If he chooses deceit, you gather your energy and return to your sovereign state. Your life is a completed masterpiece that will only accept honest partners who add real value to your space.
Your 6-step playbook against deception.
The first step of your playbook is to establish immediate and total silence the exact second you discover a lie. When a man attempts to explain away a clear deception, you must cut off the interaction instantly without engaging in an argument. Do not demand a confession or show emotional distress, as giving him a reaction only allows him to test different justifications. By choosing not to speak, you signal that your presence cannot be negotiated down to accommodate his comfort. You simply stop answering his calls and move away from the conversation, because your peace of mind is your highest priority. If you understand that this lie leaves no room for another chance, you exit the relationship with finality. If you decide that you want to give him room for coming correct, the second step for reclaiming your clarity is to evaluate his response to your sudden distance strictly through the hard data of his actions. A dishonest man will often use cheap future promises, gifts, or defensive anger to pull you back into a submissive position. You must ignore his words completely and observe whether he displays genuine accountability or simply tries to minimize his bad behavior. If he displays anger or attempts to blame you for your cold standard, you have all the evidence required to make your next move. Never allow smooth speech to replace real, documented evidence of how a man treats your dignity. Step 3 is to communicate your standard once with absolute clarity and without spending time explaining your value. If you choose to speak to a long-term partner about the deceit, state your boundaries in a single sentence and do not engage in a long, drawn-out debate. You are not a teacher or a rehabilitation center, so you do not need to explain why honesty is a basic requirement in a high-standard connection. A secure woman speaks her truth clearly and lets the environment adjust to her terms without begging for compliance. Once the boundary is stated, you step back and let his next choice determine his future access. The fourth step requires you to enforce immediate, unyielding consequences if a man repeats the deceptive behavior after a clear conversation. A high-standard woman never allows a partner to disrespect her rules more than once before taking decisive action. If you notice a second lie or a hidden detail designed to protect his comfort, you must close the door on the relationship without a moment of hesitation. Forgiving continuous dishonesty only teaches him that your boundaries are soft lines he can cross whenever he wants to hide a mistake. You must remain completely unbothered by the sudden end of a compromised connection. The fifth step is to focus entirely on your own life projects, family ties, and personal fitness goals during the separation. You do not freeze your routine to monitor his social media accounts, check his location, or wonder if he feels regret for his actions. Your happiness and stability must remain fully anchored in your own autonomy, meaning you do not need his validation to feel complete. Keep working on your career advancement, enjoying your social circle, and building your physical vitality with total consistency. By keeping your gaze on your own world, you show that his dishonest behavior has no power to disrupt your destiny. The sixth step is to completely exit the relationship without a single backward glance the moment he proves he cannot meet your high standards. You do not offer third chances or allow an untruthful partner to turn your loyalty into a cheap safety net. You gather your energy, open the exit door, and walk away with your head held high because your self-respect is completely non-negotiable. True magnetic power comes from being completely whole and knowing that you are fully prepared to face his total absence rather than accept less than you deserve. You close the door and permanently remove his access to your world. Following these 6 steps ensures that you stop being an easy option and start embodying the sovereign black cat. You refuse to finance the comfort of a dishonest man by sacrificing your own mental peace and identity. This practical blueprint protects your environment from manipulation, filtering out deceptive partners before they can drain your valuable time. By standing firm on your boundaries and enforcing real consequences, you reclaim absolute control over your destiny and your choices. True transformation happens when you stop offering unearned loyalty and start demanding the absolute truth.
Your new standard of self-respect.
Stepping into the power of the black cat changes the entire landscape of your life and brings a deep sense of internal peace. You no longer walk through the world looking for validation or waiting for an untruthful partner to decide your worth. Your daily routine becomes clean, stable, and completely free from the constant anxiety of hidden lies and weak excuses. You understand that your happiness belongs entirely to you, anchored safely in your personal goals and the bond you share with your loved ones. This absolute clarity gives you a calm posture that cannot be disrupted by any man's bad behavior. We are building a powerful community of women who refuse to accept less than they deserve and who protect their boundaries with absolute certainty. Share your personal experience with handling deception or cutting off access in the comments below so we can support each other in this shift. Your story can inspire another woman to stop being the golden retriever and start demanding total transparency. By sharing our choices and standing together, we strengthen our collective standards and refuse to finance the comfort of deceptive partners. Let us know how you reclaimed your independent energy and walked away from the drama. Choosing yourself is not a cold or lonely path, but the ultimate act of self-preservation and high-value leadership. You are creating an environment where only honest, secure partners who add real value can remain in your space. The transformation allows you to focus completely on your growth and the activities that fund your genuine joy every single day. You move forward with total serenity, knowing that your life is a completed masterpiece that does not require a dishonest partner to feel whole. Your self-respect is now a permanent foundation that ensures your long-term emotional safety. If you are ready to stop accepting mediocre behavior and start embodying your true power, subscribe to the channel right now. Make sure you do not miss any upcoming strategies to help you protect your perimeter and master the art of detachment. By joining our network today, you commit to never giving the benefit of the doubt to someone who chose to break your trust. Your dedication to this high-standard blueprint is the first step toward living a life of total freedom and absolute sovereignty. Click on the card on your screen right now to watch the video where I explain why you need to be financially independent as a woman and keep building your strength. The path of the black cat is available to every woman who decides that her dignity is entirely non-negotiable. You close the door on anyone who introduces deceit into your world, and you never look back with hesitation or regret. Carry this unbreakable internal code with you into every single connection, moving through your routine with the calm posture of a queen. Your attention is a premium privilege, your time is valuable, and your inner peace is fully protected from manipulation. Keep focusing on your own path, stay unbothered, and I will see you on our next journey.
I really hope these insights were valuable to you. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any content, and I'll see you in the next one.